America fear their government, and the government is being run by too many powerful agencies like the IRS and others. I think it's time the people take the country back through their representative government.
Politician living on that hill, living in that life of luxury on we the people's bill. Don't have a clue how the other half lives, and that is a shame. It's time to stop the tyranny. You keep pushing through your bills. Going for revolution, going for it now. It's time to save our Constitution while we still got the guns in our hands.
Hi, it's Renee Kimball here for Freedom TV, and today we have an unusual show for you. This is going to be about media education or media literacy. What we're going to try and do over the next hour is give you an idea of some of the things that happen in some of the print ads in particular that you may be looking at and you don't have any idea this sort of thing is happening. I'd like to start at the beginning and give you a little bit of a history about media education, because this is not a new phenomena. They've been using hidden ideas and images and concepts in advertising for a very, very long time. The first recorded incidence of this is in 400 BC with a fellow called Democritus. Then we can skip forward just a little bit to 2,250 years ago, and Aristotle, who also talks about using images to influence people's opinion. Then we can skip forward a little bit farther in history to 1580, and the philosopher Montaigne also spoke about the same thing, utilizing images, ideas, and concepts to present an idea that you want to push. Everything went along very well, and it probably wasn't used a whole lot until we come up to our dear friend Freud, who happens to have a little nephew called Edward Bernays. In the 1950s, Edward Bernays was known for some really radical things that he was doing in the advertising industry, but he started back way before that. In fact, he teamed up with the tobacco industry to promote cigarettes and women smoking. And the way he did this, he managed to get the suffragettes to march with lighted cigarettes in their hands as if they were candles. And at the end of the march, he got them to all light up a cigarette, therefore cementing forever the acceptability of women smoking. Edward Bernays is also known for the propaganda that he did in World War II. He was the great propaganda king. And then after World War II, it all started to hot up. In 1950, a fellow named Vance Packard wrote a book, and it was called The Hidden Persuaders. This is probably the first definitive book about using subliminal and overt images to change people's ideas and get them to think in the ways that the people who were advertising wanted them to. In 1972 rather, this book came along, and it's called Subliminal Seduction. Now, this is was a very widely read book in its time, and this one contains a lot of information about hidden images that you can actually see in some of the print ads. And as you follow along through the book, he actually gives you exact places and ways and means that you can actually see in the photographs. And what I'd like to do is show you a little bit about the things that he says in this book in regard to whether advertising works in this way. And most people think, oh, doesn't affect me, I make all my decisions for myself. Well, listen to what the author of this book, Wilson Bryan Key, has to say about that. Few are willing to concede the relevance or importance in their lives of advertising. Most people simply say they make up their own minds. a very necessary illusion the media must perpetuate in order to succeed in making up our minds for us. So you can see that it's very inherent in what they do. They want to make up our minds for us, and it's our responsibility to think ahead about what they're doing. One of the things that I would like to mention in this segment, we're going to be dealing mainly with death and sex as the two major stimuli that are used in advertising to sell products and determine opinions. And this is what the book has to say about those. In the mass media of communication, the preoccupation with love and death symbolism is apparent in every newspaper, magazine, and television program. Genital symbolism is universally used in the media, though rarely recognized by the audience as such. Commonly used phallic symbolism includes neckties, arrows, flagpoles, automobiles, rockets, pencils, cigars and cigarettes, candles, broomsticks, snakes, trees, cannons, pens, and the list is endless. Vaginal symbols are developed from virtually any round or elliptical shape. Lips, eyes, belt buckles, the oval feminine face surrounded by hair, apples, pears, oranges, cherries, balls, eggs, and the list goes on. You're going to see some of those in the segment that is coming up, but right now we're going to take you to our first roll-in, which is Surviving and Thriving. This week we're going to hear from Jean Ward, and we're going to hear a little bit about fire. So now we'll go to Jean Ward, Surviving and Thriving.
If you become lost, what you should do is stop and get control of those emotions. Take an inventory of what you've got to work with. Get organized and develop a plan of action that's going to get you and yours through this night safely. Without a survival kit, it's going to be very difficult to get control of your emotions. The mind just doesn't want to work well when it's consumed by fear. What you're most likely going to do is to continue to try to keep getting back to your vehicle, even though you have no idea where that's at. The goal of this video is to show you that a small survival kit can keep these nights from becoming life-threatening. Of all the tools that I stock in my survival kit, the one item that I use the most and place the highest value on is my knife. The knives that I've been carrying for years are the Leatherman Wave and the Swiss Army Huntsman knife. The one item that both of these have in common is a good saw blade on it. Almost everything that I do out here, everything that I manufacture, everything that you see in any of my films, were all manufactured with one of these two items. I place such a high importance on knives that I actually carry both of these with me. Of the two knives, I give the Leatherman Wave a little bit higher marks. The blades are much more accessible and they lock, and that's an important safety feature. One of the really cool tricks I learned when I was down in Panama from the instructors down there was how to split a piece of wood like this using your knife. Saw halfway through the wood and just give it a good wrap on a rock, and you've got a nice split piece of wood. The one survival skill that I can teach you, which I believe will have the greatest impact on keeping you alive out here, is fire. Since I began my career as a survival instructor in 1968, the one thing that has made fire starting both easy and 100% certain has been pitchwood. The dark veins that look like strips of lean bacon in this old fir stump are real good indicators that my fire starting efforts are going to be successful, regardless of the weather conditions. It will be my nose, however, that will tell me for sure. That pine sol odor that I detect, that's pure gold. My approach to starting fires hasn't changed in over 30 years. First, I form a V with 2 arm-sized pieces of wood. This gives my small fire the protection it needs from the wind. Second, I scrape a small pile of shavings directly from the handle of my fire starting tool, which I developed in 2004. By holding the top edge of the attached scraper at a 45-degree angle and applying firm downward strokes, I can easily produce some excellent tinder. Third, I place the ferrocerium rod, also known as mish metal, directly over the pile of tinder and press slowly and firmly downward. If I'm fortunate enough to have found a source of pitchwood nearby, I will add several thin shavings just to kick it up a notch, so that when I add my handful of small dead twigs, they will ignite even if they are slightly damp. I cannot stress enough the importance of preparing kindling ahead of time, especially in wet weather. Several gradually increasing sizes of kindling will make the difference between success and failure. In addition to being one of the most reliable fire starters on the planet, the SOS fire starter can also be used successfully by survivors who have been injured. The SOS fire starter can easily be used one-handed if you have a saw blade.
Hi, welcome back to Freedom TV and our media education or media self-defense segment. We're going to be examining some print ads and giving them sort of a scorecard. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is actually giving them an idea, well, my idea of what I consider to be a good or a bad ad. And these are some of the criteria that we're going to be looking at. And each one of the print ads that we're looking at will actually get a score on each one of these areas. Now, this is going to be a little bit different program because we're going to have an opportunity for you to call in with your ideas, your questions, and maybe some examples of things that you've seen in the past. But we do ask that you keep to the subject that we're actually doing today. If you want to talk about 9/11, if you want to talk about the bailout, please call another program. We're talking about media education. So join us anytime you'd like. Give us a call and we can talk about your issues with media education. So now we're going to go to our first print ad, and this one is called Custom Powder. Now, what was I saying about sex? What do you think? Do you think that maybe this looks a little bit phallical? I don't know. Could be. The explosion area all around the outside? Yeah. And here, if you look at it closer, it's even more obvious. You can see that this is an intended purpose. This is about face powder, folks. This is not about peni. But here you have an obvious phallic symbol selling an item. And does it work? Of course it works. It works very well. And the problem with this is that people are not aware of the fact that this is working on them, that this is actually pushing them toward buying a product that they may or may not buy without the ad pushing the impetus of sexuality. So for our score for Custom Powder, we have, social responsibility. Well, I gave it a 5. I mean, hey, it's face powder in the first place. Intelligence, 10. It was kind of obvious. I don't know. Humor, we'll give it 80. I mean, it was clever. It was cute. It was funny. Ethics, this is my score. If you want to make up your own scores, great. At creativity, again, I gave it a higher score because it is creative. It is a clever way of manufacturing the idea that you want to buy this product. Originality, 100. This is clever. This is good. It's utilizing the product and a means of dispersing the product so that it gives you the feeling of excitement and, sensuality, and at the same time, it's selling you face powder. It's a powder, for God's sakes. Sexual content, minus 20. One of the things I'd like to say is the lower the score, the less I personally thought about the ad on a scale of being personally responsible and selling a good pitch. Total, 260, and we gave it the obvious, oh so obvious award. Now I would like to go on to the next one. This is a picture. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see both of these. This is a picture about by Dorothea Lange, and this particular picture is the most downloaded picture from the Library of Congress. bar none, this is the one that people chose time and time again to download, and it has some kind of an emotional connection with people that they absolutely love. You can see the difference in the picture between the original and the retouched. There's an incredible difference in the emotionality of the two pictures. The one on your left is the original, and it's kind of washed out, kind of doesn't say too much, but the one on the right has the children in the background as being much darker, much more reserved in the background, hidden. Her face is very, very prominent. Her hand is very prominent. And the overall effect is one that is so incredible that this, again, is the most downloaded picture from the Library of Congress. Another picture of Dorothea Lange. She worked during the Great Depression and was actually hired by the government to go out and document pictures all over the country. This was another one of her pictures. You can see the original picture that she did on the left, which is, you know, it's effective, it's kind of okay, but it makes the woman look, I don't know, kind of like an old hillbilly from nowhere. But if you look at the picture on the right, she not only moved the woman's position, but relighted the whole subject matter so that she comes up with a certain kind of dignity and a certain, you know, air of dignity and more importance than the one on the left. So Dorothea Lange is one of those great people with a camera. And if we go to her scorecard, we can see social responsibility. Well, she did a good job. It's great. Intelligence, the other criteria, sexual content, 100% because there really isn't any. And her total score, if we see her accumulating all of the scores that she has together, we bring up Dorothea Lange's total. We have, do we have 555? She was great. She was incredible at selling a product. And frankly, she got the award of Are We Glad That She Wasn't Into Advertising. Okay, our next picture that we're going to look at, this is one of my all-time favorites. Just take for a second and look at this picture in its total, and then we're going to break it apart. This is an ad for Cool cigarettes. You see the hand in the front, the girl, the guy in the back with the pump. Now we'll go to the individual pictures. Now we have the woman. Remember what we were saying about sexuality, the oval face, the hair, her hand touching her hair, very sensual, very seductive, and it's a very hard sell picture of sensuality with the K over on the right-hand side for Cool. And here we have, I'll move out of the way so you can see, her legs are lifted a little. She's got her hand against her knee, and you can see the pack of cigarettes in the male hand on the left-hand side of the screen. This is getting a little hardcore. So, I don't know. Let's look at the next slide, and you can see that he has a pack in his hand, and he's holding it in a very, I don't know, unusual way. I don't think I've ever seen anybody hold a pack of cigarettes like that. And he's aiming it at the woman. I don't know. What do you think it looks like? Last but not least, the final picture. Okay, when you see this one close up, you're not quite sure what you're seeing here. And I'm not quite sure, what is this thing down here at the bottom? It's actually the back of the seat, but it does look strangely like something else. So the composite picture, you put it all together, and this is what we come up with for a score. Yeah, this wasn't my favorite one. Now listen, I'm not making any judgment calls as to whether this is good or bad. I'm just saying be aware that you're being sold a product through sex. It's not the quality of the product. It's not the need for the product. It's how well can I sell this product to you using every sexual cue I've got. Those are the scores that I've given it. Sexual content minus 200. And Disgusting Sexist Piggy Award is the one I gave to it. Okay, that's the first segment here. And again, do call in. We do have an opportunity for you to call in. You can make comments on what you're seeing. And you can also say how you think you've been sold. I'd like to hear some of that from people. So we're going to go to a roll-in segment. This is kind of a short one that we're going to go into, and it's called Ordering pizza in the future. This is Freedom to Fascism, and so sit back, relax, and think about how you might be ordering pizza in the future.
Pizza Palace, guaranteed hot in 30 minutes or it's free. This is Mary. May I take your order?
Hi, Mary. Yes, I'd like to order.
Is this Mr. Kelly?
Yes?
Thank you for calling again, sir. I show your national identification number as 610-204-999-8-45-54610. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I see you live at 736 Montrose Court, but you're calling from your cell phone. Are you at home?
I'm just leaving work, but I'm...
Oh, we can deliver to Bob's Auto Supply. That's at 175 Lincoln Avenue, yes?
No, I'm on my way home. How do you know all this stuff?
We just got wired into the system, sir.
Oh, well, I'd like to order a couple of your double meat special pizzas.
Sure thing. There'll be a new $20 charge for those, sir.
What do you mean?
Sir, the system shows me that your medical records indicate that you have high blood pressure and extremely high cholesterol. Luckily, we have a new agreement with your national health care provider that allows us to sell you double meat pies as long as you agree to waive all future claims of liability.
What?
Do you agree, sir? You can sign the form when we deliver, but there is a charge for processing. The total is $67 even.
$67?
Well, that includes the delivery surcharge of $15 to cover the added risk to our driver of traveling through an orange zone.
I live in an orange zone?
Now you do. Looks like there was another robbery on Montrose yesterday. You could save $48 if you ordered our special Sprout Submarine Combo and picked it up yourself. Comes with tofu sticks. Those are very tasty, sir. Good value, too.
But I want double meat.
Well, I'm sure you can afford the $67 then. You just bought those tickets to Hawaii. They weren't cheap, eh? Oh, but I see you checked out the budget beach bum at the library last week. Up to you, sir.
All right. I'll get the Sprout subs.
Good choice, sir. Gotta watch that waist if you're hitting the beach, eh? 42 inches. Wow. Man, I'd say tofu and Sprouts is like required.
That's how much?
Just between you and me, there's a $3 off coupon in this month's Total Men's Fitness magazine. Your wife Betty subscribes to that, right? Anyhow, clip that and it's $19.99 even. Whoa, looks like you maxed out on all your credit cards. Bring cash, okay?
Dobrodošli na Ameriku. Ja sam iz ovdje, iz Teksasa. Imao sam interes na rad, dakle išao sam tamo snimati, ja sam novinar.
Kako si naučio bosanski?
Imam prijatelje iz Hrvatske i on učio meni, učio meni kako govoriti hrvatski. It's a small world. I don't respect any of the business owners.
Sure.
They say
That's, I mean, no, you all said that.
good. I appreciate the way you handle this.
That's awesome. Speaking a language you learn Bosnian or Croatian.
I was obsessed, you know. I was obsessed with what was happening.
Owen's here with us now, and we're going to...
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I do it when I can. I usually won't open carry when I'm alone, just because that, I don't know, I want people to have an image of what, I mean, I want people to have a positive image.
All right, you're right. I just had to make sure you aligned.
Yeah, thanks.
Actually, if you're open carry, you don't have to have it.
That's right, correct. I didn't show him my license.
Yeah.
The open carry. I showed him my ID because I think it'll go away. And then Massachusetts people will come up here and they'll never see anybody carrying a gun. They'll forget that we all have guns and that they shouldn't come up here to commit crimes. So.
Yep, this is like I think the fourth time one of us have had the cops call or
It's normal.
Or been talked to.
It's just a process. It has to be.
Ita visto?
I've never heard that expression.
Hi, welcome back to Freedom TV, and this is our media education, ta-da, or media self-defense. We're doing a little bit of talking about the different kinds of print media and how you're sold things through sex and death, not necessarily because of the advantage of the product or the attributes of the product. And we're trying to alert you to the fact that this is being done so that you have a chance to really assess what you're looking at and judge whether you want to buy this product on your need. Because up until, I'd say 1944, people really kind of assessed whether they needed a product and then they decided whether to buy it. After that, it was a hard sell. And now we're going to go to another print ad that we have. And this one is BioCorp. Now, what does this look like? BioCorp, it's biodegradable. We're selling a bag here. This BioCorp bag is made out of cellulose. Great thing. Using the environment. Wonderful. I love it. But take a really close look at the bag. You notice anything funny about it? It kind of looks, what is this here? Oh, God, look at this. My, have you ever seen a bag that had a bulge in it? I don't know. Again, this is kind of a look of sexuality. This is something that doesn't enhance the bag. It's not telling you anything about the qualities of the bag. It's not saying whether the bag is durable, whether you can use it many times, how wonderful everything is about using this cellulose bag. But it's giving you a nice bulge and equating that with sexuality. Do you think so? Do you think not? Why don't you give us a call and tell me. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. Tell me if you think that there's no hidden messages in any of this. Oh, we do have a caller. Okay. Caller, do you have a question or do you want to say something?
I have a comment and a question.
Sure.
You're absolutely right about the advertising. You know, I hate commercial TV. I don't watch it. I watch cable access. That's it. If they cut that out, I'll go to radio.
Excellent.
But I want to say this, that they pump the whole sexual thing and the whole violence thing. And it makes people, you know, when they're driving in their cars. I mean, look at people driving in their cars sometimes.
You're right, and I appreciate your comments. You're right. This is pushed a long way.
What was that?
It is pushed a long way. Both this is print media, but again, even in audio, it is pushed a lot.
It's all planned.
Right. And did you have a question?
Yes. Okay, we have a little bit of Constitution left in this country. They want to make the North American Union, which is uniting Canada, America. They already have the NAU. Well, no, they're building it.
But did you have a question about media education? Because I appreciate what you're doing, and I really agree with you wholeheartedly. The problem is we're trying to only take questions about media.
Ask me anything.
No, well, did you have a question about media in particular?
Yeah, well, we all know they're owned by the business interests that are exploiting it.
Right. But right now we're not talking about the problems. We're trying to get people educated in what is going on and how we're trying to look at this kind of education and make sure that we understand what we're being sold. And this is the means of doing it. I'm going to move along to the next picture because we're on a time limit here. Sorry about that. This obviously is the flower at the top of the bag. And if you look at this, what does it look like to you? I'm not going to give you any clues, but it could possibly be part of a female anatomy. I don't know. But remember, the product that we're selling here, the product that they're trying to get you to buy, is a bag made out of cellulose. What is this doing there? So here's our BioCorp scorecard. Social responsibility, ethics, I don't know. Sexual content, 10. Pretty sexual. And the overall score, 390. My question to them is, who are you guys? You're selling an environmental product and you're showing me flowers that look like vaginas and bags that look like they're packed penises. I don't know who you guys are. Okay, the next one that we have is, these are a series of ads that I found in a magazine that was on an airplane. It's called the Sky Mall magazine. And most of the people who fly business trips are men. And the magazines definitely have an appeal, more appeal to men than they do to women. And even the products that are supposedly appealing to women, look at them. Here you go. What do these look like? They're erect. They're standing up. They're at attention, so to speak. And these are the kind of ads that you're going to find in these magazines because they want you to feel sensual and sexual about the magazine. This is probably a really good product. This one, I don't know, who uses a phonograph with a horn on it anymore? But it serves a great purpose because it allows you to have this image of sensuality, of kind of an erection. And the last one in this series is a watch. Interesting. Look at how the watch is standing straight up. And I understand we have another caller. Do you have a question for me?
Yes. I do have a question for you.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
I work for an advertisement firm myself in the magazine world.
Okay.
And how is it that bosses get the approval for the sexual ads?
How is it that who gets the approval?
Like, my editor approves these sexual ads through advertisements, and I was curious how they get that approval.
Well, there's nothing, there's nothing to stop them. They can have anything there that has the innuendos, that has the suggestion of sexuality, as long as it isn't physically an erect penis, there's nothing to stop them from doing it. So if it appeals to the person who's paying the money to have the advertising campaign done, then it goes forward. And that's pretty much, as I understand it, how most advertising goes, is it appeals to the person who is paying the bill. And if they approve it, as long as it doesn't have any actual overt, what's called sexuality in regard to having, female body parts of showing the breast or showing a penis or showing, butt cracks in the back, as far as I know, there's nothing to stop them from doing it. Does that answer your question, I hope? Okay. Alrighty. This is the last one in the series, and I'll move to the center so you can look at it. And you can see on both sides of me, if I scooch in here tight, you'll see erect, standard, tall-looking items. And again, the magazine was full of this stuff. It wasn't just, every page you turned, there was one of these kinds of images on that page. And the reason they keep using it, the reason that they get away with it is because it does work. And if people think that you're immune to this kind of stuff, guess again, you're not immune to it because this stuff will affect you just like it will affect anyone else. Okay, here's the scorecard. And while we're looking at the scorecard, I think we have another phone call. Do you have a question?
Hi, yeah, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I was just curious. When I was looking at that bag from that last second there, it looked like I could see a man's face kind of in the bottom of those suggestive curves you were saying. And then to the right there, like a Chinese woman with, her face too. So I just thought maybe if anyone else saw that, it'd be interesting.
Oh, it'd be interesting.
Kind of
I didn't see that. I didn't see that, but you could very well have seen that.
You might want to take a look at the very bottom. If you look at it, it'll turn into like a man's face if you stare for a little bit. It's hard to look at. And then if you look at it a little bit to the right there on the bottom, it looks like a Chinese woman's face. So I just wanted to mention that I saw that.
Anyone see that? You're talking to somebody who can't even see those images in the pictures, no matter how hard
This was a while back on those images, so I just thought I would call in on that. It just got through.
It should be on the screen now. And
oh, yeah, it's right where she's standing there.
Where I'm standing?
Yeah, if she backs a little bit to the left, lady on TV.
Maybe I should move out of the way. Oh, down here?
Yeah, and then down here in the very bottom, there's like his nose here.
Oh, it looks like some kind of an animal, doesn't it? Oh, that's weird.
Like a man's face. It says ST, there's a nose. And then where her, down there by the 503, is that like an eye, a Chinese lady eye?
Yeah, this look to me down here at the bottom, it looks more like a some kind of like a beaked animal. Ooh, this is weird. Very strange. Okay, thanks very much for calling. I really appreciate it. See, people see things. There's all kinds of images in here. I just picked out the very obvious. The Sky Mall scorecard, as you can see, has some interesting things. Social responsibility, I don't know. Humor, 10. It's kind of a low score all the way around. And its final score, what do we have for a final score? 147, blah for bucks. Not a very effective sets of ads, but I'm sure it had the kind of effect that it wanted on people who were looking at this magazine. I found myself on airplanes looking at these magazines, wanting to buy stuff, and then turning around and going, what am I doing? This is insane. I shouldn't be buying this crap. I don't need this, and I don't want it. So next ad that we have, the last series of ads that we're going to be looking at in media self-defense is going to be the Spanish ones. But before we go to the Spanish ones, sorry, I messed up, my error. We're going to have another little roll in. And this one is going to be one that I actually did. And it's called Disarming the Innocent. This is about gun control and maybe how we should have an idea in the back of our heads that let's look at this again. And maybe we'll find out that gun control isn't such a crash-hot idea. So now, Disarming the Innocent.
And in tonight's news, a local woman was murdered when an intruder broke into her home. Police say...
This is a story that won't make the evening news. Over 2 million acts of violence are prevented every year by armed citizens.
Support the Second Amendment. Call now or visit AmericanLibertyFoundation.org.
Excuse me, you seem like nice folks.
Uh-huh.
Do you believe in gun control?
Yes.
Then would you be willing to stand behind what you believe and post this sign in your front yard? Think gun control's a good idea? Think again.
Call now or visit AmericanLibertyFoundation.org.
There are over 20,000 gun laws in America today.
Mommy.
The problem is,
Mommy?
criminals don't obey the law. Gun control only disarms the innocent.
Call now or visit AmericanLibertyFoundation.org.
And in tonight's news, a local woman was murdered when an intruder broke into her home. Police say...
This is a story that won't make the evening news. Over 2 million acts of violence are prevented every year by armed citizens.
Support the Second Amendment. Call now or visit AmericanLibertyFoundation.org.
Excuse me, you seem like nice folks.
Uh-huh.
Do you believe in gun control?
Yes.
Then would you be willing to stand behind what you believe and post this sign in your front yard? Think gun control's a good idea? Think again.
Call now or visit AmericanLibertyFoundation.org.
There are over 20,000 gun laws in America today.
Mommy.
The problem is,
Mommy?
criminals don't obey the law. Gun control only disarms the innocent.
Call now or visit AmericanLibertyFoundation.org.
Hi, welcome back to Freedom TV, and we're having a media education segment called Media Self-Defense. So we're kind of giving you the ideas and concepts behind some of the things that you see as print ads. And I understand we have a caller.
Hello.
Hi, do you have a question for us or a statement about some of the media education stuff?
Well, I was just going to remind some of the viewers that may have gotten this far into the program and still not been convinced to just think back a little while back. Camel cigarettes had that Joe Camel thing, and I believe there was quite the uproar over the phallic face that Joe Camel had, and the fact that a cartoon character was being used to hawk cigarettes. And if you go a lot farther back, those of us old enough to remember would remember Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble shilling for Winston cigarettes. Way back in TV was black and white, and you only had a couple of channels.
Right.
The cartoon characters, the gall of the corporations when they keep setting the bar lower and lower and lower, and then we have to shout to raise it back up. Thank you for the show, Renee.
All righty. Well, thank you for calling in. And I think the caller made a very good point, is how do you counter this stuff? Well, the only serious way that you have of countering this kind of stuff is voting with your pocketbook or your hip pocket. You have the opportunity, every time you go out and buy a product, you can decide at that time, what are the ethics behind this corporation or this private business? It doesn't have to be a corporation. It could be any kind of business, even the government. When they sell you things, look behind it and say, am I going to buy this? Does this represent my values? Does this reinforce the things that I believe in and the society that I want to live in? And every time you go out and spend your money, you have to make that decision. And if you see commercials on TV, I've made that decision myself. If you see things that you don't like, are against your ethical value system, they are promoting things that you don't believe should be promoted in that way, then you have an opportunity when you spend your money to not buy that product. In addition, what you can do is write them a letter and say, I didn't buy your product because of the ad that you put out there. I actually did that to the city of Las Vegas because their ad was cute, it was clever, it was very, very well done. And they were advertising a very unethical thing. They were basically advertising a man lying to his wife about going to Las Vegas and what he did in Las Vegas, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I wrote them a letter, and I got a very nice letter back from the city of Las Vegas saying, we've taken to heart what you said and we passed it on, and I didn't see any more of those ads. And the next series of ads that came out for the city of Las Vegas were much, much more ethical. So you do have a great amount of influence in what you're doing. I understand we have another caller.
Hi, Renee.
Hi.
I'm glad you're doing your show still.
Thank you.
I want to make a comment
Sure.
about the Second Amendment. I feel ripped off as a American citizen, because if you get so much as a DUI on your record, you can't buy even a hunting rifle.
Right. And I can appreciate what you're saying. However, right now we're going to try and keep the show, unfortunately, back on media education, because basically what you have to do is you take back your rights one at a time, and one of the rights you've still got is how you spend your money. And what we're trying to do here is show people, look at the stuff that's being advertised and make your judgments on how you spend your money and how you use your First Amendment rights by judging the ads that you see. Okay, we're going to go to a couple more ads. This one is an overall ad you can see about, this is Spanish tourism. I don't know. But if I were doing a series of ads to get people to come to my country, I don't think I'd be doing it quite like this. Because if you take a look at the ad, it looks splashy, it looks clever, it looks very colorful, very exciting. But if you look at it a little closer up, and in the next image you'll see, what is this? I mean, look at these images. Good God, is this something that you want to go see when you go to another country? I don't think so. I don't think I'd want to. And these are the kinds of things that are being advertised in this magazine. Again, look at these images, look at these faces, look at these people. It looks colorful when you look at the overall ad, but oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to go to Spain and see this kind of stuff. So, again, here's another smaller image that's blown up. Look at this is a horse, I guess. I don't know. And look at this picture over here, this woman, I'm not sure. But again, these are images having to do with death, and death sells product. And that's why they put them in the images. So if you look at these kinds of images, you'll get an excited, intense feeling about the whole thing. But again, what they're actually selling you is a concept of death. And this is an advertisement that has to do with visiting Spain. Not my idea of a good time. So this one, we'll give a scorecard to social responsibility. Ooh, I don't know, 50. Intelligence, 50. It's clever. I've got to give it that, because it uses images that you will see in Spain if you go there, and they look colorful and they feel colorful, and most of them are small enough to where you're not really kind of aware that you're seeing what you're actually seeing. You just kind of see these colorful, exciting images, and then in the background is this intensity that's happening. Creativity, 55. Originality, 20. It's been done to death. Pardon the pun. Sexual content, 95, because there is this kind of sexuality going on, particularly with the woman in the yellow dress that was in the ad. And for an overall score, 350, dangerous but fun. And this is what you're going to find in a lot of advertising. It is dangerous, but it is fun. These things appeal to parts of your nature. They bring in feelings and emotions that will excite you to go out and pursue this product. And that's the whole idea of this kind of advertising. Okay, the last one we're going to look at is spiced taro. Now, we actually had these for lunch. They're quite good. But take a second and look at this ad. Now, I'm going to pull up the package that is currently there, but have a look at this ad. Overall, remember what we said about oval images? Look at this. You'll see that there are, it looks like an ovum, to be honest with you. And you've got eggs. This looks like an ovary to me. And it's a great product. It's a wonderful product. But here they're using a subconscious appeal to sexuality to sell their product. I don't know. Do you think it works? Let's look at it a little bit closer. And we can see the image down here at the bottom. Gee, what are those? And what are these? What does this look like? Does it look like they're coming from these? And what do you think that is? Again, I'm not making a judgment as to whether this is good or bad. I'm just saying be very, very aware of what you're being sold and how you're being sold it. And I'll show you the packaging today. It has not changed very much. It's very similar. You can see the ovum and the egg. This happens to be a different kind of potato chip, but again, you still have the little sprinkles. You still have the ovary with the eggs happening that look like chips. And you still have an overall image of sexuality, which is the reason they're selling the chips. Now, mind you, this is a great product. As far as I'm concerned, they can sell the product on its merits alone because it's a wonderful product. We had it for lunch. And one of the things that I'd like to point out in advertising is look at it. If you have a means of videotaping some of the things that you see on television, try and do that. Set the recorder to record some of the advertisements that you see on TV, and then play them back slowly and actually look at them. Stop at a certain point, look at the images, and decide for yourself, what are they actually selling me here? What is this image really about? And a lot of times when you slow these guys down, you're going to see stuff that you normally are totally unaware of. Another good place that you can find in the visual media of TV, where it happens very, very quickly, is in the introductions to television shows. A good way of finding out what you're actually being sold is to videotape the beginning of TV programs and then slow it down and actually walk yourself through it and take a look at some of the images that are going on in there. You're going to find a lot more happening than you actually thought was there in the first place. So we've taken a look a little bit at some of the print media, which is the most obvious because it's hardcore, it's right in front of you and it doesn't change. But it is by no means the most influential means of getting the message out and selling product. One of the greatest means, of course, is using television. And as we're coming up into a political season, anytime you come up into a political season, that's the time when you really seriously want to look at these kinds of ads that they're putting out and selling you things. One of the best things you can do is to videotape some of the campaign ads and particularly some of the products for drugs, some of the drugs that they're actually trying to market through the television, and see the process that they're utilizing to get you to be more receptive to the ideas that are in both the political ads and in the drug ads. Those are two areas that people need to be very, very aware of because it's becoming almost, let's put it this way, kind of a means to an end to get you to ask for a particular drug from your doctor. One thing I did forget was the Terra Chips scorecard. And they just reminded me. Social responsibility, 50. Okay. Intelligence, 40. Humor, 20. Meh. Ethics, 10. Creativity, I've got to give these guys full marks. They did a great job. I mean, it's chips. It's chips. And they made it look like an ovary. So I've got to give them credit for doing that. Originality, again, 100% because they're amazing. They did a very good job. Sexual content, 90. Obvious sexual content. Great product, though. Their score, 410. Creative Sexuality Award. They get top marks. And I've got to give them credit because they do have a good product. And to me, it's like, why can't you just sell me the product based on how good the product is? Or is your product so indistinguishable from all the other products out there that you've got to resort to these kinds of things? So again, have a look at the stuff that you're being marketed, both in print and in the TV, and also on the radio. Listen to what's going on the radio because they use audible cues a lot in the radio that you're totally unaware of. One of the best places that you can find out how you're being marketed a whole new lifestyle and a whole new philosophy is to record the news, play it back, and stop it periodically and ask yourself, what did that person really say? Why did they say it that way? How come they said it this way instead of saying it that way? And if you start asking yourselves these questions, you're going to find out that what you're being marketed is opinion. And you're not being sold the things that you want, the things that you need. You're being sold the things that they want you to continue buying. And I know you're watching this TV program, so obviously you're not a dummy. So you're aware, you're concerned about what's going on, and you want to make sure that the choices that you have in the future are the ones that you make and that are not made for you by organizations who want to just manipulate your opinion in the place they want it to go. So again, this has been Freedom TV. We're always kind of a little bit on the cutting edge as far as what we're doing. This was an experiment tonight to do a blue screen, and I'm glad it worked. It worked great. And I hope you got a lot of information out of it. Do check back with those two books, The Hidden Persuaders by Vance Packard and The Subliminal Seduction. So take a look at those books. There's lots of other books out there right now that can give you more cues about how things are being marketed to you. Because you're smart enough to make up your own decisions for you. I don't even know you, but I trust you better than the government and better than the advertisers. So again, this has been Freedom TV, and we hope you can join us next week because we're going to be talking about debt elimination. This is the real deal. So join us next week for debt elimination and find out how you can really get yourself out of debt successfully. See you next week. Thanks.
I cry for my country, for the pain that it's been through. She's been made to suffer for the profit of a few. Storm clouds are forming, winds of change now touch our shores. Our hear forefathers are crying as the dream's been crucified.